My name is Savannah Fletcher. Brady raised his beer at his birthday party and laughed. Only I can do big things for this family. Mom and Dad lit up. We're so proud of you. Not like some people. The room froze. I leaned back. Then I'll stop covering the house. It's your turn now, Brady. Mom's eyes widened, covering what Brady's grin dropped. Dad's fork clattered. The cake sat untouched under the lights, but the air turned thick. 3 years of secrets just spilled out in one breath. Before I explain how $540,000 vanished and why I cut them off forever, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? I need to know I'm not the only one who finally drew the line. From the outside, our brick house in Fargo still looked solid. My name is Savannah Fletcher. I turned 29 last month and work as a freelance graphic designer out of Denver. Most days, I'm glued to my laptop in a small apartment with a view of the mountains. I fly back to North Dakota every few months because that's where the rest of the family stays. Brady, my younger brother by 3 years, never left. He turned 26 a week ago and still sleeps in his old room upstairs. He talks a lot about starting his own real estate business, but nothing ever sticks. He spends his time scrolling listings on his phone and telling anyone who listens that the next deal will change everything. Dad Marvin used to drive long-haul trucks across the Midwest. 3 years ago, a semi jackknifed on black ice outside Bismarck. He walked away with crushed vertebrae and a stack of medical bills that never stopped growing. The insurance covered the basics, but not the follow-ups. Not the physical therapy, not the pain meds that kept him moving. He tried going back to work part-time, but the company let him go after the second flare-up. Now he spends most afternoons in his recliner, flipping channels with the remote, balanced on his knee. Mom works the morning shift at the local grocery store as a cashier. She stands on her feet for 6 hours, scans items, makes small talk, and comes home with sore legs and a forced smile. The paycheck covers groceries and little else. 3 years back, right after Dad's accident, the calls started. First, it was the mortgage company threatening late fees. Then the hospital sent final notices. The car insurance lapsed, and the power company cut a deal to avoid shutoff. I was the only one with steady income coming in every month. My clients paid on time, and I could take on extra projects without leaving my desk. I sat down with Brady one weekend when I flew in. He promised he would handle everything if I sent the money to him. "I'll make sure Dad gets what he needs, and I'll keep the lights on," he said. "You don't have to worry about the details." I believed him because he was family, and family looks out for each other. Every month, I wrote out a check for $15,000. That covered the house payment, Dad's ongoing medical costs, both car insurances, the electric bill, and the internet, so Mom could check her schedule online. I addressed the envelope to Brady, dropped it in the mail from Denver, and waited for the confirmation texts that never came. He always said the same thing. "Got it, thanks, sis." I kept track on a spreadsheet. Column for date. Column for amount. Column for purpose. The numbers added up fast. I told myself it was temporary. Dad would get back on his feet. Mom would pick up more hours. Brady would land that big contract he kept mentioning. 3 years turned into 36 transfers without a single receipt shown to anyone else. Brady started dressing sharper. New boots, a leather jacket, a watch that caught the light when he waved his hands during stories. Dad noticed and grinned every time. Mom baked his favorite lasagna on Fridays without asking where the extra grocery money came from. I watched from the sidelines on video calls, nodding along while my bank balance shrank. I never asked for updates because I didn't want to seem like I didn't trust him. Trust was the whole point. I paid the price for that silence every time another bill landed in my inbox marked urgent. Brady's birthday party was set for the following weekend. The living room was packed for Brady's birthday party. Neighbors crowded the couch, cousins leaned against the wall, and a few of Brady's old high school buddies stood near the snack table. Someone had strung cheap streamers from the ceiling fan, and the stereo pumped out classic rock at a volume that made conversation shouty. I stood near the kitchen doorway holding a soda I hadn't sipped. Brady held court in the center, arms wide like he owned the stage. He spotted me across the room and grinned bigger. "Hey everyone, listen up." The music dipped as he raised his voice. "Only I can do big things for this family." Dad clapped him on the shoulder, eyes shining. Mom nodded fast, her smile stretching ear to ear. "We're so proud of you. Not like some people." A couple heads turned my way. I felt the weight of their stares, but I didn't look away. Brady kept talking, listing off properties he claimed to have lined up investors on the hook deals ready to close. His buddies cheered. Dad lifted his bottle in a toast. Mom wiped a fake tear. I set my soda down and stepped forward. The room noise faded a notch. "Then I'll stop covering the house. It's your turn now, Brady." Silence crashed in. The stereo seemed louder all of a sudden. Mom's hand flew to her chest, covering what Brady's face drained of color. He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. Nothing came out. Dad's toast bottle hovered halfway to his lips. One cousin shifted awkwardly, eyes darting between us. I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder I'd printed that morning. Thick stack of bank statements, highlighted lines, transfer confirmations. I walked straight to the coffee table and dropped it with a thud that cut through the music. Pages fanned open. Everyone leaned in. Dad grabbed the top sheet first. His brow furrowed as he scanned the numbers. Mom peered over his shoulder, her smile gone. Brady stood frozen, hands half raised like he wanted to stop time. $540,000. That was the total at the bottom of the last page. Every check I'd mailed, every dollar meant for the roof over their heads, the cars in the driveway. Dad's doctor visits, the power that kept the fridge running, the Wi-Fi Mom used for her shifts. All routed through Brady's account and never seen again. Dad's voice cracked when he spoke. "Brady, what is this?" Brady swallowed hard. "It's complicated. There were opportunities." Mom picked up another page, her fingers trembling. "Opportunities. This says the mortgage was paid from here." She looked at me, confusion turning to shock. "You've been paying our bills?" I nodded once. "For 3 years. The room erupted in murmurs. A buddy of Brady's backed toward the door. Someone killed the music. Brady tried to laugh it off, but it came out strangled. "Sis, come on, let's talk private." "No." I kept my voice level. "Everyone here thinks you're the hero. Time they know the truth." Dad flipped to the next statement. His face hardened with each line. Mom sank onto the couch, hand over her mouth. Brady's eyes darted to the exit, then back to the papers. He reached for the folder, but I slid it out of reach. One neighbor whispered to another. Phones came out, but no one recorded yet. The air felt heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. Brady's big talk from minutes ago hung in the room like smoke. I watched his panic grow. He shifted his weight, scanned faces, realized no one was buying his story anymore. Dad set the page down slow, like it burned him. Mom wouldn't look at Brady at all. The party was over, but the night had just started. By morning, Brady's truck was gone. I woke to the sound of Mom rattling pans in the kitchen, trying to act normal. Dad sat at the table, staring into black coffee. The folder of statements still lay open where I'd left it, pages curled at the edges. No one had touched the leftover cake. I walked out to the driveway. Empty space where Brady's red pickup usually sat. Tire tracks led to the street and vanished. Inside the house, I checked his room. Bed unmade, closet, half-empty, laptop missing. On the desk, a single sticky note stuck to the monitor. "Don't worry, I'll fix it." Mom appeared in the doorway. "He'll be back. He always comes back." Her voice shook. Dad didn't look up. I pocketed the note and went downstairs. The doorbell rang an hour later. Aunt Joan, Mom's sister, stood on the porch with a casserole dish. She lived 3 houses down and had heard the commotion drift through open windows last night. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "Brady stopped by my place last year," she said, setting the dish on the counter. "Borrowed $8,000. Said it was for a down payment on land that would triple in value." Promised to pay me back double in 6 months. She glanced at Mom. He never did. Dad finally spoke. 8,000, Aunt Joan nodded. I let it go because he's family. Figured he'd make good eventually. Mom pressed her lips tight. I pulled out my phone and texted Finley. He'd been my college roommate, now worked IT for a bank in Minneapolis. Need help tracing transfers. Can you come? Finley arrived before lunch, laptop under his arm. We cleared the dining table and spread out the statements. He logged into Public Records' First North Dakota Secretary of State website, typed Brady's full name. A hit popped up immediately. Brady Land Ventures, LLC, registered 18 months ago. Brady listed as sole member. Address matched our house. Finley dug deeper. County clerk records showed 2 civil lawsuits filed against the LLC, one from a supplier claiming unpaid invoices for survey work, another from an investor demanding return of a $20,000 deposit. Both cases settled out of court 6 months apart. No criminal charges, but the pattern was clear. He switched to banking portals. With the account numbers from my statements, he traced outgoing wires. Dozens of transfers to the LLC's business account, then smaller chunks to personal vendors, car dealership, jewelry store, a vacation rental in Florida. I watched the screen fill with transactions. Every dollar I'd sent for bills had been rerouted within days. Finley printed the trail pages, stacking up like evidence in a courtroom. Dad read over my shoulder. His breathing grew shallow. Mom sat on the couch, casserole untouched. Aunt Joan shook her head slow. I should have said something sooner. Finley closed the laptop. This isn't just bad investing. It's systematic diversion. I stared at the sticky note still in my hand, Brady's handwriting, confident loops. He'd planned to ride this out until the money ran dry. Last night forced his hand. Dad pushed back from the table. We call the police. Not yet, I said. Bank first. They have fraud departments. Aunt Joan stood. I'll get my loan paperwork. Might help. Finley packed his gear. I can pull more if you need. The house felt quieter than it had in years. No music, no bragging, just the hum of the fridge and the weight of what came next. 3 nights later, Brady knocked on the door. I opened it to find him alone on the porch, folder tucked under one arm. No truck in sight. His hair was messy, eyes red-rimmed, but he forced a smile. Can we talk inside? Dad and Mom sat in the living room. The TV stayed off. I stepped aside. Brady walked straight to the coffee table and set the folder down like it was gold. This will explain everything. He flipped it open. Color maps, charts, projections. The land triples in value within a year. I just needed bridge capital. Dad leaned forward. Mom crossed her arms. I picked up the top page. Aerial photo of a parcel north of town. Looked promising at first glance. Brady kept talking. Developers are circling. 1 signature and we're set. I turned to the next sheet. Soil report. Wetland designation stamped in red. I slid it across to Dad. This is marsh. No building permits possible. Brady's smile faltered. Minor setback. We rezone. I pulled the county assessor printout from my pocket, the one I'd downloaded yesterday. No rezoning applications filed. Ever. You never even tried. Mom took the wetland page. Her face tightened. Dad scanned the assessor doc, jaw working. Brady shifted his weight. Plans change. I adapted. I opened the folder wider. Inside pocket held glossy brochures for luxury cabins that didn't exist. Marketing mock-ups with stock photos. These aren't real projects? You printed this at a shop downtown. Brady's voice rose. I wanted to prove I could handle big things. Dad set the papers down hard. By lying to your sister, Mom finally spoke. You took money meant for your father's health. Brady looked at the floor. It was supposed to come back bigger. I closed the folder. It came back as swamp. Silence stretched. Dad rubbed his temples. Mom stared at Brady like she'd never seen him before. The confident brother from the party was gone. What stood there was a man cornered by his own story. Brady tried one more time. "Give me a week. I'll flip something small." Dad shook his head. "No more chances." Mom stood. "Go to your room. We're done talking tonight." Brady opened his mouth, closed it, then walked upstairs without the folder. The stairs creaked under each step. Dad picked up the fake plans and dropped them in the trash. Mom followed him to the kitchen. I stayed in the living room listening to the house settle. For the first time, they saw him clearly. 3 months later, the bank letter arrived. I was in Denver when Mom called. "It's official. Come home." I caught the next flight. The envelope waited on the kitchen counter, thick and sealed with the bank's logo. Dad slid it open while Mom hovered. "Judgment in our favor. Civil fraud claim upheld. Brady ordered to repay $540,000 plus compounded interest total just over $610,000. Payment plan outlined garnishment from any wages liens on assets." Dad read the figures aloud. His voice stayed flat. Mom sank into a chair. Brady stood by the window, arms crossed tight. He'd been crashing on the couch since returning. No job, no plan. The bank included a timeline. First installment due in 30 days. Failure triggered asset seizure. Brady's face went pale. "I don't have that kind of cash." Dad folded the letter. "Then you work it off." Brady paced. "Sell the house. Equity covers most of it." Mom gasped. Dad's eyes narrowed. "This is our home. You don't touch it." Brady stopped. "It's just brick. We downsize, everyone wins." Dad stepped closer. "You lost the right to decide what this family sacrifices." Mom nodded slow. "We kept the roof because of your sister. You don't sell it to fix your mess." Brady ran a hand through his hair. "What am I supposed to do? They'll take everything." I spoke for the first time. "Get a job. 2 if needed." He laughed bitter. "Minimum wage won't dent 600 grand." Dad pointed to the door. "Start applying. Today." Brady grabbed his keys and left. The truck coughed to life outside. Mom watched him drive away. "He'll come around." Dad shook his head. "He's on his own now." Weeks passed. Brady filled out applications at warehouses, delivery services, construction sites. Credit agencies flagged the judgment. Loan denials piled up. His score tanked below 500. One afternoon, a collections agent called the house. Mom answered. "He doesn't live here anymore." She hung up, shaking. Dad changed the locks the next day. Brady showed up with a duffel bag. "Let me crash until the first payment." Dad blocked the doorway. "Find a roommate. Pay rent somewhere else." Brady's shoulders slumped. He turned without argument. The duffel dragged behind him. I checked public records online. Judgment recorded in county courthouse. Lien attached to any future earnings. Brady's name now carried a permanent scar. Mom started picking up extra shifts. Dad sold his old fishing gear to cover legal fees. The house stayed intact. Bills arrived on time, paid from my account still, but I set a hard cutoff date. Brady landed a warehouse gig loading trucks at dawn. Paycheck garnished before he saw it. He rented a studio 20 miles away, 1-room shared bath. Credit cards maxed and closed. Car insurance lapsed until he scraped together proof of employment. Phone plan downgraded to prepaid. One evening, he texted, "Can we talk?" I didn't reply. The bank sent confirmation letters. Payments trickled in, small, consistent. Interest kept the balance high, but the debt shrank. Dad framed the judgment copy and hung it in the garage. Reminder, not trophy. Mom stopped mentioning Brady in conversation. I booked my return flight to Denver. The house felt lighter, quieter. No more excuses echoing off the walls. I loaded the last box into my car. Mom stood on the porch, arms wrapped around herself. Dad leaned against the doorframe, hands in pockets. The engine idled, ready for the long drive back to Denver. Brady had texted that morning. "One more chance. Cover the first garnishment." I deleted it without reply. Mom stepped down. You sure about this? I closed the trunk. I'm not his backup plan. Dad nodded once. Drive safe. I hugged them both. No tears, no drama. Just the click of seatbelts and the crunch of gravel under tires. Back in Denver, I blocked Brady's number first, then Mom's landline, Dad's cell, every family group chat. Email filters sent anything from Fargo straight to trash. Social media unfollows completed the wall. Months rolled by. I took on bigger clients, upgraded my apartment-built routines that didn't include emergency transfers. Brady's updates filtered through Aunt Joan during rare check-ins. He'd switched jobs again. Now he drove for a shipping company, early shifts, long hauls across the plains. Uniform shirt company van, paycheck docked before deposit. He lived in a one-bedroom above a laundromat, walls thin, neighbors loud. Groceries bought with coupons, gas budgeted to the mile. No more talk of deals or flips. One holiday, Mom mailed a card. Inside a photo of the three of them at the kitchen table. Brady absent. Note said he'd moved out for good. I filed it away. I flew home once for Dad's birthday. Brady wasn't invited. We ate store-bought cake, watched old movies, kept conversation light. No one mentioned money. Brady tried reaching out through Finley. Tell her I'm sorry. Finley passed the message. I didn't respond. Credit reports showed the judgment still active. Payments chipped away, slow but steady. Interest kept the hole deep. I set boundaries in stone. Help offered only if asked directly and never again for Brady. Mom understood. Dad enforced it. Family gatherings shrank. Cousins asked questions, got vague answers. The story stayed private. Brady's van broke down outside Bismarck one winter. Towed, repaired on credit he couldn't get. He walked the last 10 miles home. Spring came. I ran my first half marathon in Denver, medal around my neck. No one from Fargo cheered at the finish line. Aunt Joan sent a text. He's stable. Don't worry. I archived it. I redesigned my website, added testimonials, raised rates. Income flowed without guilt. One evening, a package arrived. Return address Brady. Inside a cheap keychain shaped like North Dakota. No note. I tossed it in a drawer. Mom called on my birthday. We miss you. I know. Silence stretched comfortable. Dad took the phone. Proud of you, kid. We hung up. No promises, no pleas. Brady kept driving. Routes memorized, stops timed. Tips earned in cash, saved in a jar. I hiked the Rockies on weekends, air-thin views endless. Family isn't a bank. When trust is misused, walking away is the only way to protect yourself.